Howdy, y'all, and welcome back to Rednex Movies, the only film review show recorded live from a double wide in the great state of Bleak, where the Wi-Fi is weak but the opinions are strong. I'm your host, Earl Pickett, and I am sitting here in my good recliner, the one without the duct tape, because tonight is a special occasion. I just watched Top Gun from 1986, starring that little feller Tom Cruise. Well, I pulled this one out of Lot 402. God bless that blockbuster auction, and let me tell you, the case was a little cracked, but the disc played just fine on the Magnavox. Had to adjust the rabbit ears twice, but we got her done. All right, let me give you all the quick rundown on what this movie is about, and then we'll get into the good stuff. So basically, there's this hotshot Navy pilot feller named Maverick, and I'll say this, whoever named him did good. That is a solid name. And he goes to this fancy flight school called Top Gun, out in California somewhere, and he flies jets, real fast jets, and he's got a buddy named Goose, which, again, solid name. And there's a lady instructor who he takes a shine to, and then some stuff happens with feelings and all that, and then at the end there's a dog fight with some enemy planes. That's pretty much it. There ain't a single pickup truck in the whole dadgum movie. But we'll get to that. Let's talk about the boobs. Okay, so listen, there is a love scene. The lady, Kelly McGillis, who is a fine-looking woman, I will say that clearly for the record. But it's all lit up in this blue light, like they're in an aquarium, and it's all artsy and slow. And they got the saxophone music going. It's more of a feelings scene than a hubba-hubba scene, if you follow me. And then, there is a whole entire volleyball scene where a bunch of oiled-up Navy boys are running around with their shirts off, playing volleyball on the beach. Now, I did not sign up for that. Fast-forwarded through most of it. Don't know what that director feller was thinking, but I got questions. There's some swimsuit moments, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But for a movie rated PG, which apparently used to mean something different in 1986, I expected more. This is an Earl Pickett certified disappointment in this department. Boobs and nudity rating, 2 out of 5 lug nuts. It's there, but it's soft. Intended. Okay, now for the cars and trucks. Oh, I need a moment. There, ain't. Oh, trucks, 0 at 1. There is a motorcycle. Tom Cruise rides a crotch rocket on the runway next to a jet. And okay, fine, that's a little cool, but it ain't a truck. There's a Porsche 356 Speedster that the lady drives around, which is a real pretty car. I'll give it that. Old money pretty. Not Earl pretty, but pretty. Now the jets, and I had to think real hard about whether jets count. The jets are fast, and they do some wild stuff up in the air, and I respect the machinery. Twin-engine F-14 Tomcat will do Mach 1, and I ain't gonna pretend that don't get my blood pumping a little. But you can't put a gun rack on an F-14. You just can't. No car chases, no burnouts. Nobody's hopping a ditch in a Chevy. This movie's got a lot of zip, but no zing. And y'all know what I mean by that. Trucks and cars. Rating, 1.5 out of 5 lug nuts. Pumped it up a half lug nut for the motorcycle. That's as generous as I get. Let's talk guns and shooting. Now here is where old Top Gun starts to earn its keep a little bit. Them F-14s got AM-9 Sidewinder missiles on them. Heat seekers, real sophisticated stuff. And when they start firing those things off at the MiGs in the final battle scene, I hollered so loud, my dog Biscuit fell off the couch. I ain't ashamed of it. Now, I will say, some of these pilots miss shots that I feel like a reasonably coordinated person with a .22 could have made, and that irritates me. You got a multi-million-dollar jet, and you can't lock onto a plane that's right in front of you. I hit a squirrel at 200 yards with my Remington 700 last November, and I was sitting down. Get it together, Maverick. No ground combat, no tanks. Lord knows I was hoping for a tank. No hand-to-hand, no explosions on the ground to speak of. It's all aerial. Which is cool, but it ain't the same as watching somebody blow up a fuel truck with a grenade launcher, you know? Guns and shooting rating. 3 out of 5 lug nuts. Missiles count. Missiles definitely count. All right, let's talk about how these guys live. Oh boy, these boys live in California on a Navy base. They wear uniforms and flight suits, and when they ain't doing that, they're wearing white pants. White pants. I ain't worn white pants since my cousin Darlene's second wedding, and even then I felt real uncomfortable about it. They do drink beer in a bar. There's a scene where Maverick goes up to the lady and tries to sing to her, which is painfully embarrassing, and I had to look away. But it's a beach bar with neon lights and people dancing to, well, we'll get to the music. Nobody hunts. Nobody grills out. Nobody throws horseshoes or plays cornhole. Nobody's got a dog on a porch. The closest thing to country living in this whole movie is that Goose has a wife and a little boy, and they seem like decent, normal people, and I appreciated that. Goose was the most relatable fella in the whole picture. And then they went and, well, I won't spoil it, but I will say, I had to pause the movie and go outside for a minute. Country living and beer, drinking rating, 1 out of 5 lug nuts. I gave it 1 lug nut for the beer. The beer was real. I respect the beer. Now, time for the tune age. All right, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, 'cause that's what we do here on Rednex Movies. When I saw this was an '86 movie, I thought, maybe there's some good rock in here. Maybe somebody put some Sky Nerd in during a flight scene. Maybe even some AC/DC, some Foghat, something. Instead, I got Kenny Loggins. Now, Kenny Loggins ain't bad. I want to be fair. Danger Zone is it's a song that exists, and people seem to like it, and I understand why it's in there. But it is synthesizer music. It is keyboard music with a man hollering over it. Every time it came on, I felt a little tingle behind my left eye. And then they got this other song, Take My Breath Away, by a group called Berlin. And it plays during that blue light aquarium love scene I mentioned earlier. And I'm gonna tell you, I had to turn the volume down 'cause Biscuit started howling, and I thought he was having some kind of episode. There's a scene where Goose and Maverick play Great Balls of Fire on a piano in the bar, and everyone sings along, and that I enjoyed. Jerry Lee Lewis is acceptable. Jerry Lee Lewis has lived a life. But the overall soundtrack of this movie gave me a mild headache and reminded me of the time I accidentally walked into a mall in 1987. Great tunes. Rating, 1.5 out of 5 lug nuts. Jerry Lee Lewis saves it from a 1, barely. Okay, so let's add this up. We got a 2, a 1-5, a 3, a 1, and a 1-5. That gives us a grand total of 9 out of 25 lug nuts. Which, if you do the math, and I did, it took me a minute, is about 2 lug nuts overall for Top Gun. Now look, the movie ain't bad. It moves along, the flying stuff is genuinely impressive, and Tom Cruise seems like a fella who works real hard, even if he could stand to eat a sandwich. But this movie was made for people who think California is the whole world, and I am here to tell you it is not. If you're looking for a movie that's gonna scratch that itch, you know the itch I'm talking about. This ain't your film. But if you got a Friday night and nothing else is on and you want to watch some jets blow up some other jets, you could do worse. All right, y'all, that's all she wrote for this episode of Rednex Movies. I'm Earl Pickett. I got about 3,988 more DVDs to get through, and I am committed to the process. Y'all drive safe, keep your trucks pointed forward, and remember, life is short, so don't waste it on synth music.